Entitled mother Karen demands I pay my stepdad's property tax bill with an update. This is a long one and a pretty terrible situation, so hope you can share some of my anger. The cast is stepdad, Karen mom, and me, at the time a 21 female, now 22 female. So last year, stepdad was selling his flat in London. It was as empty as the renter had left, so stepdad and narcissist Karen mom asked if I wanted to move in. I would benefit as it would be rent-free, and I was planning on moving to London soon, so I'd be able to find a permanent place while living there. They would benefit as stepdad was struggling to sell the flat without it being staged, so wanted me to live there to stage it, keep it clean and nice for viewings. It was great for both parties, and I would only have to pay bills. In the UK, when you take over property tax, you have to register online and then wait for a letter giving you an account number where you can pay. While there, I registered but never managed to set up my account as I moved out after only 6 weeks when I found my own place and never got a letter during that time. So I called the council and they confirmed that if I never received a letter that I wouldn't be liable for the council tax as I would be living in another property and I was not the owner of the flat in the first place. I was a full-time student at the time, so I was exempt from paying property tax. Karen and stepdad asked me to lie and say that I lived there up until the flat was sold because they wanted to use my exemption. I said that I didn't want to, but I eventually agreed. But still, I had never received the letter I needed, so I was not able to apply my student exemption. This all happened at the beginning of last year, and last month I got a letter to my new address from a debt collection company saying that a few days later bailiffs would be coming to my property to seize my belongings to cover my debt. I was in a state of shock, trying to understand what debt I owed, when I realized it was the property tax bill at stepdad's flat from the year before. I phoned them up, I cried on the phone, and I told them that there was a misunderstanding that I would sort out with the council. They deferred the bailiff's date for a month so I could sort out the misunderstanding with the council. I called the council and they told me that they would sort it out. I just needed a letter from my university confirming I was a student. So I called up my university and I emailed them, but due to it being spring break, no one could help for a few weeks. That was fine, but this morning I started panicking, realizing it was only a week and a bit until the bailiffs would come. The council said that I could pay the amount, £460, and then get a refund once my student exemption came through. However, I'm a recent graduate. I'm working full-time since October, but I'm still paying off my credit cards and overdraft from my time at university, so that I don't have a spare £460 just lying around. The only way I could pay it is by putting it on a credit card. I decided to bite the bullet and tell stepdad about the bailiffs, the council tax, and ask if he could pay the fee, and then I would make sure the refund was issued quickly. He has a good job, earning £92,000 per year, and recently sold his rental flat in London, the one I was staying at, so I thought he wouldn't mind helping out while I get the situation sorted. I then got a phone call from Karen Mom. It was a very long call, but I will write your key points and my responses. She said, "How can you think that we are responsible for paying property tax when you were living there?" I tried to set up an account, I replied, but never got the letter that I needed, so the council told me that I wasn't liable. I was only there for 6 weeks. But you should have tried harder to set it up so me and stepdad could get your student exemption. I never heard anything else back from them, so I couldn't apply my student exemption. Why should me and stepdad pay? I can't afford it right now, but I'll make sure to call tomorrow and hurry the refund along. Can't your partner pay? He is as liable as you because the bailiffs would come to your house and take your shared things. Me and my partner live together. He literally has nothing to do with the situation. I hadn't even met him when I was living at stepdad's flat. Me and stepdad were doing you a huge favor by letting you stay there for free, and this is how you repay us? It was mutually beneficial. I took time out of my studies to clean the flat, stage it for viewings, and helped you sell the flat while I got to live there for free. Well, I can't afford it, and neither can stepdad. In silence, and I wanted to make the point that this is a lie. She recently started working full-time for the first time in 27 years. She gets maintenance from my dad, her ex-husband, and she also rents out a 5-bedroom house that she owns outright, so she has income from that. Also, stepdad has a $92,000 a year job and just sold his flat in London. There was a lot more to the conversation, with a lot of emotional manipulation, but I stood my ground. Mom paid the fee and said I had to get a refund ASAP, so I agreed. The thing that hurts the most is that I'm in a horrific situation with bailiffs about to turn up at my door. I now have a record as the council took me to court without ever notifying me. The letter telling me bailiffs were coming was the first I received, and my credit score will take a massive hit. If I don't pay, I can literally be sent to prison. It's rare but possible. All for £460 that she and stepdad can afford that will get refunded. I was planning on keeping up the lie that Karen mom and stepdad asked and applying my student exemption to the time that stepdad sold the flat, which was an extra 2 months after I left. But now, I honestly want to just have the bailiffs send it to the mom and stepdad's house, as it is technically all his liability. This is a very fresh situation, and I'm honestly just in shock. Karen mom is usually manipulative, but this is another level. She would rather I have a court record, possibly go to prison, take a hit to my credit score, and take out a credit card to pay the fee, than get stepdad to pay for something that he was liable for. I'm going to call the council in the morning and explain everything, including that Karen mom and stepdad have been trying to get me to commit fraud. I looked through old messages from mom and found one saying, stepdad had asked if you continue to pay council tax until the flat has sold so it's free, with me not responding to this. I've taken screenshots of as much evidence as I can, and I'm going to be selfish and cover my own butt for once instead of protecting her. Since I posted, Karen mom has also asked me to send her as much as I could afford to cover the fee, so I gave her a thumbs up and sent nothing. I was going to use my student exemption for the 6 weeks that I was living there, but after everyone's advice and some research, I'm not going to do this anymore, and will be saying that stepdad is responsible for it all. Final update. I didn't expect to have to write a whole separate post, holy crap, as an update, but so much has happened it could be a post of its own. The last thing I talked about on my original post was the phone call with my entitled Karen mom on Monday, where she still wanted me to commit fraud for stepdad by lying about being in his flat for longer, so he didn't have to pay council tax, as I had a student exemption. She agreed to pay it, but only if she got a full refund, meaning she wanted me to lie to the council. One small thing that some people misinterpreted in my last post. Karen mom and stepdad asked me multiple times to commit fraud, but I never agreed to. I never actually committed fraud for them, but they expected me to. Also, from this unpaid bill that I didn't know about, I got a CCJ, county court judgment, which will stay on my record and affect my credit score. Anyway, this is what happened next. I'll be removing personal details from messages, but other than that, they're identical to the original. Messages with entitled Karen mom on Tuesday. I said, I am contacting the council now to try and get a refund, but I'll be telling them that I moved out on this date because I did. My exemption will only be applied for the period that I was there, meaning that you guys will still have a bit of the bill that won't be refunded. Karen mom says, leave it as is, it's paid. She basically doesn't want me to talk to the council because if I do, they'll know that stepdad committed fraud by not declaring that he was the occupier, and that Karen mom and stepdad tried to make me commit fraud too. No, you wanted the refund. I will get my part refunded. I refuse to have a court record and poor credit score when stepdad was responsible for the last month and a half of council tax payments. It's paid. Don't make it more complicated. Don't call the council until you talk to me. After I moved out, stepdad should have told the council that he was the owner of the property and that it was empty. You've already screwed it up. Don't make it any worse. How did I screw it up? By not sorting it out sooner. Why would I make it any worse? I need to protect myself from a lifetime of poor credit score and having a court record. I don't understand what the problem is. In one scenario, the bill won't get anything refunded and you won't benefit. In the other scenario, a large portion of the bill is refunded and your daughter won't have a poor credit score and a court record for the rest of her life. Why are you choosing the first scenario? You're a selfish, ungrateful child. What date are you telling them that you moved out? You really want me to have a crappy credit score and a court record for no good reason? Why? I don't understand. It's not like that's much of a hassle. Just cover the cost after when you moved out. It's a month and a half extra. I don't want that. She's responding to the first bit of my last message here. That's why I paid £460 just to sort out your screw-ups. Stepdad would have to fill in a little form. Meanwhile, I would be screwed for the rest of my life. Just tell me why that is what you care about. You care more about that stepdad might be slightly inconvenienced than me having a court record. You are being so difficult. The small portion between when you moved out and the flat sold has nothing to do with this CCJ. It does. The dates were listed on the CCJ. The bill was still unpaid. If I don't, I will have a freaking record. Do you not understand that? Who are you protecting? Why the heck are you throwing your daughter under the bridge, letting her get a permanent record when stepdad would literally have to fill out a form? What the heck happened to blood is thicker than water? This isn't your problem to fix, it's stepdad's. Why isn't he dealing with his own crap? She ignored me for 2 hours and then said, "You aren't pleasant. If you had told the council that you had moved out and given a forwarding address, this wouldn't be an issue. You brought this on yourself." I wish I hadn't paid the bill. Stepdad has now contacted the council and taken responsibility from the time you moved out until the time the flat sold. Yeah, I laughed at this. She realized that if she didn't come forward before I did, then stepdad would be in a lot of crap for committing fraud. When you moved into the flat, you agreed to pay for the council tax and towards the gas and electric. I cannot believe how ungrateful you have been and how you're trying to blame stepdad for the fact that you didn't sort out the council tax bill when you agreed to. What's your plan for repaying this £460 bill? Will you get the full £460 back from the council? I'll get my part back. I emailed the council with all the information of events, proof of when I moved out, and so on. I'll let you know what they say. Between these messages, she called and texted my dad, who backed me up and said it was stepdad and her responsibility. For some reason, she's now pretending like nothing happened. Now the bill has been paid. I hope it makes you feel better. Let me know what the council says. This whole exchange happened over an entire day. Between this, she called me 7 times. I only picked up the phone twice. The first time, she was in the car with my 11-year-old brother sat next to her. Thankfully, I actually recorded these calls, so I'll write them out below. The first call. She says, "Hello, can you hear me?" I say, "Hi, yeah." The problem is, what period is it from and to? So I'm being charged from the date I moved in to the date the flat sold. Yep, that's fine. It's been paid for that. That's fine. I've paid it. It's done. Yeah, but just because it's been paid, like I'm going to have a court record and a crap credit score. Yeah, well, you should have thought about that before you ignored the letter. I didn't get a letter. That's the whole point. Yes, but you did have a letter on the date a few weeks ago, didn't you? Yeah, but that was from the bailiffs, and I sorted it out as soon as I could. What, yesterday? I sorted it out, I put a hold on my account, I was getting an exemption letter from my university, and then suddenly I realized that the time period I was being charged for was beyond when I was actually living there. But it doesn't matter, as long as it's paid, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it extended on longer, you're just making it more complicated. Why is it making it more complicated? Because at the end of the day, were you paying tax in the place you moved to? Yes, I was. You were on a group council tax and you never paid council tax after you moved out. After I moved out, I moved into a shared house where we split the council tax between all of us, and I paid monthly for this. I'm silent because this is not at all true, and she knows that. Why? She interrupts. No, so I'm asking you. It's been paid until the end of the term if you start, because it's been such a long time. I recall our conversations before that you were just going to carry on paying it after the term that you were there. There is no point telling them that you moved out 2 weeks sooner. That will not resolve the problem. I moved out a month and a half sooner. No, I don't think it was quite that. It doesn't matter. When the flat's sold, just keep it as is with those dates. Otherwise, it's going to make it more complicated because then we'll have to get back involved with the council ourselves. Just let them charge you for that period. Why? She interrupts and keeps talking over me. Wait, listen. You're making it more complicated than it is. Why didn't stepdad just tell them that he was the one that owned the flat for that period? She's shouting now. Because it's gone on for so long, it should have been sorted out after you left. As far as I recall, you were going to pay the council tax up until the flat sold anyway. Again, I never agreed to this. I found screenshots of her asking multiple times and me ignoring and then refusing. No, I never said I would do that. Silence. Hello? Pause. So what are you going to do then? She says. You're going to drop us in the crap? You're going to, you already asked me to pay it. I paid your screwy bill. What are you going to do now? So you want me to cover the period between when you moved out and when the flat sold? Is that what you're saying? It'll be the same payment for you. It's just that I shockingly don't want to have a court record. Well, I shockingly would have made sure that I paid my council tax bill so I wouldn't get one. But as far as I knew, I sorted it out. No, you didn't. You should have chased it up. You knew you had to pay it because that's why you got a CCJ. This is the thing. You said to me yesterday that, she's shouting again, before contacting the council, you want to tell them the date you moved out, and you want me to now sort it out with the council and pay from the date that you moved out to the date the flat sold. Is that correct? What is wrong with you telling them the truth? After a pause, "Oh, screw off," and hangs up. The second phone call. "Hello," she says. "Hello? I'm furious with you. Why are you doing this to me?" "What am I doing to you?" "You said that you would cover the bill while the flat was where it was." "I didn't." "And now you're going to drop me and stepdad in it." "You did. That was part of it. We offered you to stay in a free flat. We told you that you had to cover the bills." "So you wanted me to cover the bills for when I was not living there?" Long pause. "Oh, don't be like this. I paid the freaking bill. What does it matter?" "So that's what you're saying. You wanted me to cover it." "I've paid the bill already. I've paid the bill. So why are you now doing what you're doing to me?" Listen. I'm not doing it to you." "Don't listen me," in a patronizing tone. You are doing it to me and stepdad. That is what you're doing." "I'm not." "Yes, you are. That's what you're doing." "I'm not doing." She interrupts me saying, "You're burning your bridges. Do you know what I'm actually thinking of doing right now is ringing up the bank and canceling the payment that I've made, and I'm going to say that you made a fraudulent payment because that's how you're making me feel by the way you're treating me and the way you're behaving. Would you like me to do that?" "You can't threaten me anymore, so that's fine." "I can, because you're threatening me. You're telling me that I'm responsible for the payments between when you moved out and when the flat sold. That's what you are telling me." "May I speak?" "This has no correlation." "May I speak?" She continues talking. "May I speak?" and hangs up. Between phone calls and messages, I called my dad to rant. About an hour after that, my mom actually contacted my dad to try and get his sympathy, but he already knew the situation from what I told him. Bear in mind, my parents have been divorced for 8 years, and they don't talk regularly, only for childcare arrangements with my brother. My dad sent me the screenshots of a couple of the messages. They don't have the whole conversation, but key parts. The first screenshot says, "She agreed to pay the bills in a free flat. She's so out of order." And Dad says, "And she believed that she'd done that. Unfortunately, the council tax process and its inefficiencies has screwed up here. I think they are in the wrong and need a remedy, but she has to clear her name, Karen, and to do that, she needs to give them accurate dates where she was responsible for the flat. As you've paid the outstanding amount in full, there should be no comeback on you or stepdad. But the CCJ issuance process is a butt and causes huge damage to innocent people like her." Screenshot 2. "She was supposed to sort this out." "I've paid the bill. Why does she have to make things difficult by saying she moved out early?" "She shouldn't have had to, Karen. She was a student. She was exempt. She explained to me what she did, and all seems correct. But unfortunately, she moved out, and before you know it, they've issued court proceedings due to lack of contact. Surely stepdad had to contact them when he took back control of the flat. I'm surprised they didn't ask him for the details of the person who was in the flat for that period." "You really think she's the innocent one?" "Wake up, Dad." Screenshot 3. "She's brought this all on herself. If she had told the council that she'd moved out and where she moved to, it wouldn't be an issue." "Again," Dad replies, "she told me that she did tell them she'd moved out. I can only take her word for that. There's no responsibility to tell them where she's moved to if it's a different council. Stepdad should also have told them that he was responsible when she did move out though, so if he did that, then there shouldn't be an issue." "She is in the wrong. She is blaming everyone else but her." "Why are you so angry about it, Karen? It's sorted out now, isn't it? She just needs some support to clear her CCJ." "My dad and I haven't always gotten along, but if there's one thing he can get behind, is my mother doing something wrong. He doesn't like her much. Also, I do trust his advice in this situation, as he is a financial advisor and got a CCJ by accident a few years ago, so he knows how to deal with it. One thing he pointed out was that her reaction was massively overboard. She is insanely angry. I think it's because stepdad already committed fraud by not telling the council that he was responsible for payments when I moved out, but my dad thinks there might be something more to it. Either way, Karen is not happy that the authorities are getting involved in her and stepdad's finances and taxes. As of now, there's a couple of things happening. I called the council and told them everything, including that Karen and stepdad tried to get me to commit fraud. I then sent a long email with a timeline of events and screenshots of messages where Karen asked me to commit fraud. They are now in charge of investigating that, and hopefully it'll be sorted out and I can have my court record wiped. Karen asked my dad to have a talk with stepdad on Friday, so I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm ignoring Karen Mom for a while until it gets sorted out, and honestly, I think I might go no contact or very, very, very low contact with her after this. There's one final update in a different piece that is entitled "Dealing with a Narcissist Parent Who is Dying." I, female 23, finally admitted to myself in therapy that I was abused as a child by my narcissistic parents. I went no contact with them 8 months ago, and it's been the biggest relief. Recently, my Karen mom has been trying to get in touch with me again, firstly sending cryptic emails about how we need to find some common ground and fix things before it's too late. She's hinted at illness and surgery, but never outwardly said anything other than that she has an appointment. The emails were very manipulative, leaving out info so that I would reach back out to her. I didn't. An hour ago, I got a text from my stepdad, who I'm also no contact with. He told me that Karen mom is actually getting surgery in March, and she wants to reconcile before it's too late. Now I know that my mom has health problems, and although she's only 50, she was diagnosed with NF2 in her 30s. For those who don't know, NF2 is a genetic mutation causing tumors to grow randomly in the brain. She has had 2 tumors since her 30s, and they've not grown much. I always knew about her condition as I've had yearly MRIs to screen for it myself, and knew there was a possibility her tumors would grow. According to her, tumors grow during times of stress. The largest growth was when my dad left her, but she's now said that they've grown because of her stress around me. Initially, it was when I went to university, then when I moved out, and now since I am no contact. She's openly told me that I am responsible for the growth of her tumors. Around the time I went no contact, she went fully deaf in one ear and got hearing aids fitted. She's now having radio surgery in March to try and remove one of the tumors, but this is a risky operation. My stepdad's message said, "Your mom would like to make meaningful contact with you before she goes in for this potentially life-changing procedure. I hope you can find it in your heart to contact her before it's too late." I know surgery is risky, but I don't think death is common. I feel like this is just a manipulation tactic, and I also feel guilty for not wanting to reach out to her. It's just very confusing. This is a tragically wild turn of events here that we find from the previous story about the property tax. Holy cow, what do you think? Psycho Karen neighbor destroys property and files a false police report with an update. Click the video on your screen to find out what happens to Karen, and I'll see you there.